Light slips through the curtains, gentle and innocent, but inside you, something is restless. You have done everything right. You built the career that impressed your family. You cultivated the personality that makes others comfortable. You learned when to smile, when to remain silent, when to hide the tremor in your voice. You have become admirable. So why does it feel like suffocation? There is a part of you that does not fit the image, a part that feels too angry, too ambitious, too needy, too dark. You have spent years disciplining it, silencing it, shaming it into submission. Whenever jealousy rose in your chest, you called it immaturity. Whenever rage flickered behind your eyes, you called it weakness. Whenever forbidden fantasies crossed your mind, you buried them beneath morality. But what if the very parts you have exiled are not defects in your character, but fragments of your destiny? This is the paradox that tears at the fabric of everything you were taught about goodness. You were told to be kind, but never too assertive, to be confident, but not arrogant, to be successful, but not obsessed. You were instructed to curate yourself into acceptability, and so you did. Yet beneath that polished surface, something ancient stirs. Why do you feel a secret fascination toward people who live recklessly? Why do you feel irritated by traits in others that mirror impulses you suppress in yourself? Why does your anger sometimes explode over trivial matters, as if something deeper has been waiting for an excuse? You tell yourself it is about stress, about circumstances, about them. But what if it is about what you have refused to face? There is a reason the qualities you condemn most fiercely in others feel strangely familiar. There is a reason your strongest emotional reactions seem disproportionate. It is as if a hidden force within you, unacknowledged and unseen, demands recognition. The truth is unsettling. The line between who you are and who you pretend to be is wider than you think. And in that gap lives your shadow. Not a metaphorical shadow cast by light, but a psychological reality described by Carl Jung, the hidden dimension of your personality that contains everything you have rejected, denied, or deemed unacceptable. Your shadow holds your suppressed aggression, your unexpressed creativity, your forbidden desires, your shameful thoughts. It is not evil. It is incomplete. You were not born fragmented. As a child, you were whole. You cried when you felt pain. You screamed when you were angry. You demanded attention when you needed it. But slowly, the world began to teach you which parts of yourself were welcome and which were not. Good children don't shout. Nice people don't get angry. Successful people don't doubt themselves. Strong people don't feel fear. And so you amputated pieces of yourself to survive. Each rejection did not erase those traits, it merely drove them underground. They did not disappear. They adapted. They waited. Now they surface in strange ways. In envy when you see someone daring to live boldly. In resentment when others cross boundaries you never dared to enforce. In self-sabotage when you approach success that feels too powerful for the persona you constructed. You have been trying to build a meaningful life using only half of your psyche. And perhaps that is why meaning feels incomplete. Imagine that your purpose is not found in perfecting your strengths, but in integrating your rejected parts. Imagine that your aggression contains courage, that your jealousy contains longing for unrealized potential, that your arrogance hides a suppressed desire to lead, that your shame conceals authenticity. But to accept this would mean admitting something terrifying. You are capable of cruelty, of selfishness, of darkness. Yet you are also capable of transformation. If you continue to deny your shadow, it will not disappear. It will control you behind the curtain. It will distort your relationships. It will leak into passive aggression, manipulation, anxiety, depression. It will sabotage opportunities that demand a version of you that feels too powerful to embody. The greatest danger is not your darkness, it is your ignorance of it. So here is the question that refuses to leave you. What if the life you are meant to live lies hidden in the very traits you are trying to destroy? To answer this, you must descend deeper into the architecture of the psyche. You must understand why the shadow forms in the first place and why ignoring it comes at such a cost. Because the hidden problem is not that you have darkness. The hidden problem is that you believe you shouldn't. Human beings are not naturally fragmented. They are socially sculpted into fragmentation. From childhood, you learn to construct what Jung called the persona, the mask you present to the world. The persona is necessary. Without it, society would collapse into chaos. You must learn self-control, empathy, discipline. But every time you over-identify with the mask, you betray something essential. The world rewards conformity. It punishes contradiction. So you adapt. You emphasize your agreeable traits. You suppress the inconvenient ones. And in so doing, you create an inner exile. Jung observed that what you push into the unconscious does not dissolve. It gains autonomy. The shadow becomes a living force in the psyche. It influences your decisions indirectly, shaping your desires and fears from the dark. This is why you are drawn to what you consciously reject. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche warned that when you fight monsters, you must take care not to become one. The more you violently deny your darker impulses, the more power they accumulate. Morality without self-awareness becomes repression, and repression does not create virtue, it creates tension. Consider how often people who preach morality fall into scandal, how often the outwardly disciplined live secret lives of chaos. The shadow, when ignored, seeks expression in distorted forms. Arthur Schopenhauer believed that beneath human rationality lies a blind, striving will. We like to imagine ourselves as rational beings guided by reason, but much of our behavior emerges from unconscious drives. When those drives are suppressed rather than integrated, they erupt unpredictably. Modern psychology confirms this. Cognitive biases reveal how you project disowned qualities onto others. If you repress your own competitiveness, you will perceive others as hostile rivals. If you deny your own capacity for selfishness, you will obsessively accuse others of greed. Projection is the shadow's favorite disguise. Jean-Paul Sartre spoke of bad faith, the lie you tell yourself to avoid the burden of freedom. To deny your shadow is to live in bad faith. It is to pretend you are simpler than you are, safer than you are, more innocent than you are. But freedom requires confrontation. Even suffering carries hidden meaning. Viktor Frankl observed in the darkest conditions imaginable that purpose is not discovered in comfort, but in responsibility. When you confront your suffering consciously, it transforms into direction. Your shadow contains not only your destructive impulses, but also your unrealized potential. The anger you repress may contain leadership energy. The desire you shame may contain creative force. The arrogance you downplay may hide a suppressed desire to lead. Your shame conceals authenticity. But society rarely teaches integration. It teaches elimination. Be positive, be productive, be palatable. Aldous Huxley warned of a world where people are controlled not through force, but through comfort and distraction. You are encouraged to optimize yourself, to curate your identity, to filter your thoughts. But in this endless performance, you lose contact with the raw material of your soul. The shadow grows in the dark, and the more you ignore it, the more it shapes your life indirectly. Unintegrated shadow manifests as anxiety that seems to have no source, as depression that feels like emptiness,
as relationships that repeat the same painful pattern, as sudden bursts of anger that shock even you. Neurologically, suppressed emotion does not vanish, it remains active in the limbic system. Your body remembers what your mind denies. You feel tension in your jaw, tightness in your chest, exhaustion without explanation. The energy required to maintain your persona drains your vitality. Cognitive dissonance intensifies. You believe you are kind, yet you fantasize about revenge. You believe you are humble, yet you crave recognition. Instead of exploring these contradictions, you double down on the mask. But every mask has a cost. At a societal level, collective shadows manifest as polarization, scapegoating, ideological extremism. Groups project their disowned aggression